All right, I think we are live here. Welcome everybody back to the Awesemo Odds Betting Show. I am your host, Jordan Frank. I'm joined, as I always am, on these lovely Friday mornings for me, early afternoon for you, Ben Raza. Ben, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Yeah, we were, a lot of moving parts. We had some people in Vegas. We had some things going on, but we made it. We got two big ones, Championship Sunday. Got some other things going on in the world, Australian Open, and some college basketball. College football is over.
Pour one
U.S.
out.
Yeah, good season, fun season. But how was Vegas?
Vegas was good. We had a lot of fun, a lot of adventures. Got some business done. Didn't bet too much on sports. Played a little bit of poker, but definitely will be back soon to get some sports betting in for sure for the Super Bowl. Definitely be heading back. You have any
Yes.
big plans yet for the Super Bowl? What do you have going on?
No, not really. Last year, I was actually in Florida for the Super Bowl. And it was a terrible day. Benny On hit it in the water twice at the Waste Management, and it cost me a ton of money. And then the Patriots won the Super Bowl. I'm hoping for a lot of different outcomes this year, but I will be at home sweating Packers Titans, I hope, but I doubt. Uh, two pretty large spreads we have to deal with.
That's true. Well, at least you know one thing: we're not going to have to deal with the Patriots'
That's
victory.
right.
That much we know. I can't promise anything for Waste Management, but that's a few weeks away. But we have a little bit of time here. There's two games this weekend. Obviously, as we break down each, I do want to at least talk a little bit about what happened last weekend. It's already 5 days after these games, but I think there's some relevance as to what happened and what we can take from those games last week. So why don't we just jump in? The first game on Sunday is the AFC Championship, Titans Chiefs. Titans, just like everybody predicted, getting here. They are currently, I don't know, I've seen 7, but I've also seen a lot of 7.5 still. I know for most of the week it was sitting at 7.5. I think there's still some out there. Obviously, you always shop odds, make sure you're getting the best lines. Um, I kind of want to talk about how each of these teams got here real quick, Ben, but why don't we start with kind of your general thoughts about this game, about these two teams? Obviously, a lot of people thought the Chiefs were going to be here. I'm not sure many people were predicting the Titans, but what are you seeing here? Let's dig into it.
The Titans are just such a. I mean, that we know. If they would have got blown out by the Ravens, I think people would have just really said that the Patriots are just not that good and
Yeah.
all business as usual. Now we know that the Titans are obviously doing something that teams are having trouble defending. The interesting part to me is if you looked at this road, this is by far the easiest matchup Derrick Henry has had. And the Chiefs are terrible against the run. So I don't know what to really make of it. Then you have the Chiefs. If you didn't watch the game and you saw the final score, you would think, yeah, man, a lot of points, but pretty much again, business as usual. Couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
Imagine I did not. I mean, I certainly had exposure to Houston. The one thing I didn't do, I didn't tease them. If I would have teased them and still lost when I was up 40 points in the first quarter, that would have been an achievement unlocked. That's a special way to lose.
That is a special way. Yeah, we always talk about like it's not great to tease those dogs up. Like this would have
No,
just
it's
been
not.
epically painful. Talking about the Chiefs last week, down 24-0 in the first half, pretty deep into the second quarter. I don't know if you saw this, Ben. Like we talk about in-game and how valuable in-game betting is. And this is one example where I know a lot of people were piling on the Chiefs down 7-0, down 14-0, even down maybe 21. I saw people were talking about it. But when it got to 24-0, the odds the odds to win the game weren't that great. I think it was still only like in the 3-ish to 1 range, which
It was
certainly tells you
terrible.
something. But did you see it was 70-1 for the Chiefs to win the first half?
So that I did see that. Obviously, that's not something I
Insane.
even remote. So when the Chiefs went down, I mean, I had Houston, like I said, positions. I naturally went to look, and I thought this is perfect. Like I can buy. I was stunned at where these lines were sitting. I didn't even come close to. I almost thought about adding more Titans, not Titans, more Texans,
Yeah.
because I was stunned at how low. I was expecting, 5-1, and maybe getting a sizable portion of points, and it wasn't the case.
It
So
wasn't.
it just shows. I mean, I'm not going to go into the specifics. I will say though, I don't understand. If you want to go for the quote unquote kill on 4th and 1, I love it, and I thought they should have went. If you don't, that's fair.
Yeah,
Then don't fake a punt though. That is
that was
just
egregious.
illogical. Either do both or do neither. I really didn't like the sequence of events there.
I agree with you. That was such a dumbfounding play call because I agree. Either you go for it, you really lay the hammer, or like let's just get the points. We're up 21. Let's get to 24. It was 24 already. Uh, it didn't make a ton of sense. Like obviously Bill O'Brien, there's a million, examples of some questionable coaching decisions.
Like it
But
was
that game just got away so fast from them. They came out so hot. Like they got breaks, obviously, to get up the 21-0, the 24. Really, they got the turnover. But they were playing pretty well, and the Chiefs gave them that opportunity, and then to just completely piss it away. Yeah, it's just poor coaching, in my opinion.
illogical. We had just Travis Kelce. We're going to get into all that. Shout out to Ryan Peter in chat who did tease the Texans. That's just absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. That hurts.
Yeah, that's bad. But you know what? When you lose like that, you can only you just have to kind of laugh.
You have to.
Uh, and I mean, the question for me on both DFS, and I have a DFS article that's posted. I have a betting article as well. You can check them out on the site. Is what happens if, and I think inevitably when, the Titans fall behind. Now, if they can keep doing what they're doing, it's going to work. Derrick Henry's going to get all the work. Dion Lewis is going to be basically zero. AJ Brown's going to have a couple targets. But what happens if the Chiefs punch first? Just like we thought the Ravens might.
Yeah, like everybody thought the Ravens were going to do. How are the Titans going to compete when you're down at 7 to 14 points and you can't just run the ball 35 times, 40 times?
Say what you want. The Titans were incredibly impressive. The Ravens drove it up and down the field. They just, the 4th down plays were awful.
Awful.
It's not like they had many opportunities to put up points. They just couldn't capitalize. So I want to see what happens with the Titans in terms of certainly with the spread and in DFS. Are these options undervalued because we haven't seen them need to be a necessity? They've been living just fine without AJ Brown and these pass catchers.
Yeah, I mean, is the NFL just going backwards when you have Tennessee, you have San Francisco, who won games with the quarterback throwing under 150 yards. You have running backs just essentially dominating the game, time of possession, playing good defense. Like it's a throwback.
Oh, it's great. I think it's a fantastic way. Tannehill knows his role. It's been good, but both of these defenses, I think, are in precarious spots. But the one thing I want to talk about in this game, and we can start to kind of talk about our leans, is for being a high-powered offense, the Chiefs don't play fast. They're very methodical in the sense of pace. Now that we know the Titans want to run the ball, they want to slow it. So I'll get right to it. The wager that I like the best here, I like the under in this game. It's sitting at 53. And I think even regardless of who punches first, that neither team wants to get up and get going. The Texans game was an outlier, in my opinion, not something we see again.
I'm with you on that one. That's a bet that I do like more than the total. I'm sorry, more than the game line for sure, because I'm having a hard time figuring out which side I like. But I agree with you. I think this is going to be a lot more methodical of a game. The public is for sure going to bet the over and in droves, right? Like they saw the Chiefs put up 51 points last week. Like you just know that everybody is going to be heavy on the over in this game. So you're going to have a big opportunity. I would wait as long as possible because that number, it's just going to keep going up and up. Like I have no doubt about that. And you're right. Like the Titans, the only time we have to really worry about this is if you think the Titans can they get into a shootout? Like we don't know if they can, right? Like it's been a while since they have. And the interesting thing, right? Like both of these games, the NFC and AFC championship are rematches and pretty recent rematches. So, how much can we take away from when these teams met the first time? So the Titans and the Chiefs, they played in week 10.
Yep.
In that game, the Chiefs lost to the Titans 35-32. So the Titans put up a lot of points, on the Chiefs. But like when you really dig into that game, like the Chiefs were unstoppable. Like if you look at the stats, like Mahomes was absolutely dominant, threw for 450 yards, 3 touchdowns. Kelce had a huge game. Tyreek had a huge game. It was kind of fluky as to how that game played out towards the end. But you see here just a high scoring game. Like the defenses did not play well. I think you could I think you could easily say though that both of these defenses are playing so much better than they were at that point, even though that was only what 2 months ago. But these teams feel different right now.
Oh, they definitely do. And it's the playoffs. It's later in the year. I don't know what the weather in Arrowhead is. We'll have to see. Um, but I have no. I honestly think that's a good thing because I think it just
Yeah,
gonna lead more people to betting the over. I don't think that
agreed.
makes much of an impact at all. And both of these teams have new identities. We'll see what the front can do. That's the one thing. But again, I still think I don't know what the Chiefs front is going to be able to do here. I think their best way to limit Derrick Henry is to phase him out by having just a strike first offense. That's
Yeah,
really the only way. Their front is 29th DVOA against the run. So it's not, I want to be clear. If the Titans fall down 17-3, it's not like they're going to pull Derrick Henry and start throwing the ball all the time. But as the game goes on, they're going to have to open it up a little bit if it's not working. And that's something that we have to consider. Yeah, see, the
yeah,
chat knows. Exactly. That's exactly I 100% agree. It's not like they have to stay with Henry to an extent. No doubt about it.
yeah. You're not going to see Deion Lewis just play exclusively if they get down, right? Like they still have to mix it up, and that's going to be how they succeed, right? Even if they're down, like they still have to have play action and still work Henry. I mean, at least 20, 25 times a game. Like even so, I'm just looking. Even in that game, the 35-32, Henry had 23 carries, which for him, right, is not a significant output. He had a monster game, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, but they still put up points, right? Like they were in a shootout and they won the game. Again, right? Like how much can we take away from it just from a pure output perspective, right? Like can they compete if this game gets in the 20s and even 30s, right? Like obviously we like the under. We don't want to see that happen, but uh, I don't know. I don't think it's going to get to this, but I do see of the two games, this is the one where I lean. I think the favorite more. Obviously, I'm giving away kind of where I'm leaning for the next game, but I think I'm just going to wait to in game. Like there's just better opportunities in game. You can kind of get a feel for how the game is playing, how the teams look. The weather seems like it's going to be cold, but no real issues outside of that.
Yeah. It's Thursday, people or Friday. That we got a couple days with the weather. I don't read too much into it unless
Yeah,
they're calling for like a blizzard, but they're
yeah, I
not.
wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, I don't mind hitting live. I don't have a position on the game. With only two games, and we're going to say this basically every show, that one of the advantages you have in sports betting is you don't have to. There's only two games, so you're like, oh, I got to have a position on both. No,
Yeah,
not really.
yeah.
This is around a touchdown. I think that's pretty fair. Certainly, if you lean to the Titans, just go get 7.5 somewhere. They're out there, no doubt about it. But I,
Yeah.
I just think it's a game where the Titans want to play slow, and although the Chiefs are high powered, I don't think that they're going to really explode in that kind of way. To me, it's more of a methodical thing. So I
So
leaned under 53.
let me ask you this, right? Like again, I think a lot of it is on Baltimore, but like just looking back last week, Baltimore did not have a problem moving the ball, right? Like they were
No,
in the Titans half of the field the entire game. They put up over 500 yards of offense. But if you just look at, like I was just looking at how the drive stalled, right? Like they had turnover on downs 4 times. The Ravens were 8 for 8 during the regular season on 4th and 1, and they played the Titans and they just can't convert, right? Like there's so many things we saw. Like Lamar played okay. He didn't play great. He didn't play horribly, right? Like he had some bad breaks, but they were driving the ball consistently down the field, right? So a lot of people are saying, oh, the Titans defense is so great. They shut them down on short distance, which they did. And they also did with the Patriots on that huge, goal line stand, towards the end of the first half. But I don't, what are your thoughts? Like, is the Titans defense so much better than we thought they were? Or are they getting, I mean, I don't want to say lucky here, right? Like
I,
they're winning these games against the Ravens, the Patriots, right? Like they're a good defense, but are we concerned here with the
I'm
Chiefs?
I'm concerned in the sense of I don't think they're that good of a defense, but I'll say this. They are, I don't want to say tailoring this to their team, but there is a formula where the bend don't break, which is can you make a team execute 15 plays to score rather than two?
Yeah.
I think the Titans have really done a good job of that. And when you do that, you up the variance in the sense that you can get teams to fourth down and then you're rolling the dice on one play. Now they're getting lucky in the sense that coming up with really timely stops is not something that you can consistently do. But what you can consistently do is at least limit over the top plays, keep everything in front of you, shorten the game, and that feeds right into Derrick Henry.
Yeah, and we know the Chiefs are going to try for those big plays, right?
Of
Like
course.
maybe more than any team in the league, right? They want to push the ball. They don't play, like you said, they're not playing super fast, but they play aggressively in that they take shots down the field. And obviously, Mahomes is certainly not adverse to doing that and taking shots. So I don't know. It's a fascinating game, right? Like I could see
Oh,
this go either way. Like Titans could easily win this game and dominate time of possession and run the ball 35 times. I could see the Chiefs getting out to what 20-point lead, and all of a sudden this game is just totally on its head.
both games. I mean, the only thing that I'd be stunned of these games is if the Packers blew out the Niners.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I think I
I
agree.
don't see that happening. Other than that, though, this game, anything could happen. And that's probably why I don't have a position.
Yeah,
It's very difficult to see. Um, and we'll just have to wait and see. On the DFS side, of course, we're going to have plenty of content about that. There's a lot of plays. We're going to be forced. It's only 2 games. You're going to have
yeah,
exposure
for
to a
sure.
lot of these guys, but they got to stop Tyreek. I know last week was Travis Kelce. I'm much more worried in terms of the over under with Tyreek over the top than Travis Kelce.
Yeah, yeah. If you look at that Week 10 game, he had a monster game, right? Like
19
that's he's
targets.
taking these shots downfield. Like that's Tyreek.
Oh yeah, 19 targets isn't. I mean, that's not going to happen. But
Yeah,
uh, so we'll have to see. I mean, it's it's such a weird situation just seeing where the Chiefs are. They're coming in. Honestly, that's I think a great thing for them the way they won. Rather than just blowing out the Texans, there's not going to be any panic if they do go down. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah. Agreed. Agreed. So I think we both kind of agree on the under. We're both don't have a strong feel on the game, at least on the game line, right? Like I think that a live option is the way to go with this game because it's a coin toss. Like I don't know which way it's going to go, and it could go two extreme ways, right? Like both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, the only thing I probably wouldn't do is I have no desire to tease the Titans up. I think it's a little dangerous.
I agree.
Just not for me. So
Yeah.
other than that, though, I think pretty much anything is in play.
Agreed. Agreed. Which makes it fun, right? Like I'm really looking forward to see how this game plays out. So let's jump then to the NFC, which is the second game. Obviously, the Packers going to San Francisco. They're a 7.5-point dog, like basically the same line in the AFC game. We've seen all week kind of teeter from 7 up to 7.5. I think last week both AFC games, I think we were both like not didn't have strong feeling or a strong lean either way. But I think with both NFC games, we both loved the 49ers. And
Yes,
I think we both actually had the Packers as well. I
we
think we had
did.
a pretty good read on those games last week. What did you see last week? Kind of what are your thoughts on this game going forward?
So yeah, I mean the Niners. I think I got to take my victory laps when I can get them because it's limited on this show. We both thought that the ability for them to get healthy on the defensive side would materialize 6 sacks later and Dalvin Cook being ineffective.
Yep.
We saw it. Jimmy G, I didn't even think he was good. He threw a stupid pick and it was irrelevant because Tevin Coleman, who it seemed like it was going to be Mostert, that's a revolving door for the DFS world.
Yep.
Uh, that is the Niners blueprint. They were so effective and the ability for them to rush the passer you talked about this, not with blitzes, with just 4 guys is so incredibly important. And that's what, once again, the Packers who got rolled by them earlier in the year will have to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, you take your victory laps when we can on this show. That was definitely one. They got a ton of pressure, and you referenced the game that they played earlier in the season. And that was week 12, right? So we're only talking about 6 weeks ago. And it was a primetime game, and the Niners absolutely rolled the Packers 37-8. Rodgers had one of his worst games ever, only threw for 104 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Like just going back and kind of reading about that game, kind of refreshing my recollection. Like, my God. I mean, the defense was healthy at that point for the Niners, which they are now, right? Like that's what we focused on last week against the Vikings. They're getting healthy. It's an elite defense. There's no question. Are people reading too much into this result, though? Like, is it going to be another smash spot here for the Niners?
I mean, I guess we'll get to it. I don't think so. No, I think
Yeah.
it's very hard to beat a team twice, and when you get dominated in the first game, I think that's probably a good thing in a way. Now, on the other side, I do worry that what happens if, I mean, we know that Rodgers is going to have to be much better. That's a given.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones is going to have to be much better. And they're going to have to find a way to force Jimmy G to throw. But I think the great equalizer is the Packers defense is actually really good. We haven't seen that for a while. They really frustrated Russell Wilson. Game shouldn't have been as close as it was, but they made the stops when they needed to. And honestly, on the other side, Rodgers, you say what you want about him, but when he needs to, him and Devontae Adams, they make the throw they need to. They ended the game as they should, which was on offense, not on defense.
Yeah, you saw those two huge third down conversions to ice that game. That was like pretty quickly slipping away from them. It was one of these classic Seattle games, right? Like they played so bad in the first half, tried to continually run the ball, straight into the line, got down huge 21-3 at half. And then it's Russell Wilson time. And the Packers were able to hold on, thankfully, right? Like, because if it was relying on the defense, and I like their defense a lot, but it really felt like if Seattle got the ball back, they were going to come down and score.
It felt that way. It was, I mean, all the times the Packers have let them slip away, particularly against the Seahawks, when you think about the onside kicks and all the bad beats, but they made the plays when they needed to. And as Chap points out, yes, the Packers O-line is going to have their hands full. They've done a pretty good job, but this is as tough as it gets. So they're going to have to find a way to manufacture it. I think most people think this will be the uglier of the two games. I probably agree with that, even though I'm on the under in the other game, but I'm taking the points here with Green Bay. I do think they can do enough to keep the game close and force, if Jimmy G makes the throws, the Niners are going to win, but at least you got to take that chance. You got to force him to throw.
You have to force him to throw. Exactly. Like we've seen him play like shaky when they can't just run the ball the whole time. We see him have these interceptions that look really bad. He'll have a lot of incompletions. I don't have a lot of faith in him if the game all of a sudden gets to the point where he needs to move the ball, in the air and actually win a game, which is the reason, like I already said, like I like Green Bay as well here. Another stat that I saw, right, like we're relying on the Packers defense a lot here, but I think they're in a good position to at least slow down the run, which they're going to have to do. Like it can't just be like last week where the 49ers, again, like don't throw the ball at all and kind of have this Titans mentality of let's just run the ball 40 times and only have to throw for 150 yards. But I saw this, which was interesting. Aaron Rodgers' last 7 playoff losses. Again, like there's not a great through line when you're talking about 7+ years of stats, but it's just interesting. So the defense gave up 45 points, 37 points, 45 points, 44 points, and the other 3, Rodgers led a game-tying drive in all 3, and then never got the ball back again as the other team won. So we've seen this time and time and again where Rodgers is in a position to win these games, and the defense just can't even keep it close or can't stop the other team when necessary. I think this team, I think I like sprinkling here too. I think they're a live dog.
I do. Yeah. I also agree with that. Listen, I don't think that the Niners are going to do it like that. I would be really stunned if Aaron Rodgers is gashing this defense and they can't stop the running game of San Francisco, and that's how they lose. The game could get out of control. The defense could once again dominate and whip them up front, and it could resemble what we saw. That's certainly live. But again, I want to see what happens if Coleman and Mostert and them are ineffective, and if the line can Rodgers, hold up a little bit. I think they have a fighting chance. I think Aaron Jones can at least keep them balanced enough. And again, Jimmy G, you have to do something. It's not ideal. It's not like he's broken and terrible. But if you're the Packers, you have to want Jimmy G throwing the ball. I don't think there's any other choice because it's the lesser of two evils, and it's not even close in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you there. One crazy stat from that game from Week 12. The Packers were 1 for 15 on third down, but yet still had the ball for over 35 minutes in that game. So, like, really, when you dig into it, like the time of possession, like they were controlling the time of possession and moving the ball, but obviously you go 1 for 15 on third down. I mean, you have obviously no chance to win a game. So it seems unlikely that can be duplicated, but you're right. I mean, that certainly is in play, right? Like the San Francisco defense is good enough and
Yeah.
dominant enough up front to replicate that. Like that is definitely an outcome that is a non-zero chance of happening.
No, but I don't. Again, I don't really worry about that in regard. If that happens,
Yeah, so be
you're
it,
wrong.
right?
Yeah, I'm saying, and this spread on is moving. Of course, like an idiot, I already have the Packers, so I'm stuck at 7.5. But I see 8.5 at a couple of where I'm looking, which is surprising. So we'll have to wait and see what LaFleur can come up with. And to me, I know we don't have a position on the other game. This is a game, even though I do have Packers exposure already, I may add to because it's somewhat binary. If they're holding up against the rush
Yeah.
and or they're stopping Coleman and Mostert, I'm going to take my chances. And again, I want to be clear. You have George Kittle, you have Deebo Samuel, you have Emmanuel Sanders. The cupboard is not bare, but I'll take the Packers secondary in that fight and see what they can do.
That's interesting. You're seeing some eights out there. I haven't seen that.
I see some eight. I have an 8.5. Now it is juiced.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
it is juiced a little, but it's I see on my screen 8 minus 110.
Wow.
So maybe I'll have to add to.
Money, yeah, the money is still coming in heavy on the Niners, which I expect the public to continue to bet the Niners as that game gets closer. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna wait. I haven't locked anything in yet, so I'm gonna wait to get just what the biggest number I can get. I'm gonna just hold out for the Packers. Maybe try and get a better position live, but I like taking the points here. Uh, I was happy to take 7.5, but if you're telling me it's going up, I'm gonna hold off on that.
Yeah, you probably should. I was worried about it dipping.
Yeah,
I took it, and we'll see. It is fascinating though, and I don't know if the spread per se. We'll see where the sharp money that actually moves these lines comes in, but I do think people will look and say, "Oh, San Francisco just crushed Minnesota in the North. They crushed the Packers already. They're held
yeah.
like I get why the public may be there, and they're a great team. But I am not super sold. I will say I do really like George Kittle in a bounce back spot on the DFS side. I think Kelsey's going to be like astronomically owned. Now that's a whole different
Yeah.
situation, and we're talking about other things. But yeah, give me the pack. I also, full disclosure, and you know this, I have Packer outrights for the Super Bowl and the NFC, so I really could use them winning.
So that's a good point you brought up. So are you gonna be hedging at all? It sounds like you're not. I mean, I guess if you're taking the points, you can try and middle.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. If the Packers get up, I'm definitely going to hit the Niners, pending it's a number that I'm comfortable with and mitigate it. But all right now, no, I do not have a single share of San Fran.
Interesting. Okay, so I mean that certainly says something, right? Like you're pretty confident, at
I
least in that position, right? Like, I mean, I guess you already have kind of a natural middle, right? Like if you can get the Packers to cover and the 49ers win, right? Like that's a great middle for you to have.
I mean, yeah, ideally, obviously, the Packers would just win. But we'll see. I wish the game was in Lambeau, of course.
That would help.
I think that we may look back, and especially if this was a close game, and say that the Niners stopping Hollister on the 1-inch line was as important as anything this year. That really changed the face, not just for them, but for the Saints and multiple other teams.
It
So,
did. It changed the whole dynamic of the NFC playoff picture, right? Like that 1-inch stop against Seattle.
but
That really changed everything. Any thoughts on the total? Have you looked at it? Looks like
yeah, I think
uh
it's
what about 46 and a
47.
half looks like consensus.
I not really. I think if the game goes under, to me, once again, it gives the Packers a decent chance to grind it out. But I I don't have a strong take on it. No, it feels pretty close. I think this game lands in the 20s. Do you have a take, or is it?
No, I don't know. I was kind of going back and forth. I agree that it's a pretty good number. I think it's going to get bet up like basically every total in the playoffs. So just kind of act accordingly. If you do like a side, if you like the over, bet it now. If you want to go under, just wait because nobody in the public wants to bet under in these games, these high profile, standalone playoff games. So I think you can just kind of easily predict where the line is going to go. I don't know how much it's going to go up, but I would imagine this game is still going to tick up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable, and we'll see. I mean, I it's 2 games. It's very efficient lines. There's about 1,000 college basketball games tomorrow. I'll be, for me, I'll have more on that than I will on this. Uh, of all the bets that we've talked about, not that we've thrown a ton out, I like the under in the Chiefs Titans game definitely the best. That is a number that I'm pretty comfortable with, and we'll see. Depending on where you bet and how serious you bet, if you can get some props out there, and take some stabs with that, and then of course on the DFS side.
Yeah, obviously a ton to talk about on the DFS side, and we'll have a ton of content going forward as we break down the 2 games on Sunday. I do want to mention real quick, our sponsor is EV Analytics. I know we kind of ran into this quickly, but wanted to give them a shout out. Make sure to check them out for all your real-time odds, betting needs, etc. I also wanted to reference real quickly that we have a promo going right now for the Awesemo NFL Twitter handle. If we get to 5,000 followers by the Super Bowl, we're going to have our biggest giveaway ever. So that's a pretty big tease right there. So make sure you are following the Awesemo NFL Twitter handle.
And ours.
And
that's
ours.
That's the other caveat, even though it's in the fine print. But
I'm glad you're here to be here, to correct me on that.
Yeah, that's what we need. It's Kumarov. Yeah, that's the other thing. Last thing I'll say on the Packers game, and then we could talk whatever for the last couple minutes. We know Davante Adams is going to do his part. Either Alan Lazard, who was a non-factor, Kumarov, somebody has to step up for the Packers besides Aaron Jones and Davante Adams if they're going to win. I guess I could say it could be a defensive guy, but if somebody on this offense, MVS or Allison, can make a real impact, I think that is a massive wrinkle that could change the game.
Yeah, you're right. They need somebody else to step up. They're gonna scheme as much as they can to take out Davante Adams, and obviously it wasn't successful last week, but that's going to be the biggest focal point.
He's going to do his part.
Yeah,
he can't do it all. Somebody's got to do something.
Yeah, no question. We could probably have a whole another show breaking down props for these games.
Oh yeah,
and I would love to do so. Have you looked at any props? There's one that's not game specific, but one prop that I typically look at, and one kind of spoiler. We're definitely going to do something for the Super Bowl prop related, but the under 1.5 yard touchdown prop. I don't know if that's one you've ever seen or
bet it on every game last week.
Every game, 4-0 last week.
So
the last, 8 or 9 years, it's 70+%. There's not a lot of rationale outside of let's get pass interference, just a random tackle at the 1 yard line. But this prop cashes at an insane rate.
Full disclosure, I don't even love that prop, but friend of the show, and acquaintance of yours and friend of mine, Jacob, shout out to him. I have a friend who loves that prop. So
that's funny. That's the best prop.
He 4-0 last week. He was very excited. And yeah, you're really looking for pass interference in the end zone to get it done. And, that's the one thing I love about the Titans. They get to the 1 yard line, you're getting 4 cracks at it with Derrick Henry because they don't mess around down there. Have you seen, I didn't bring this up, but I wanted to, their ratio of TDs to field goals lately, it's like 30-1.
It's unheard of. Yeah. I saw something, I can't remember the number, but it's
incredible.
Ungodly. How is that? That's an insane stat.
Yeah, and you can look to those numbers for sure. For me, I may look to honestly what I just alluded to. If I can find a Packer, like a first touchdown, maybe with a non-Davante Adams or Aaron Jones, you're going to get a big price if you think either Rodgers runs it in or like a Jimmy Graham Allison.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're going to get big odds on those. And that's a good way to
that is, to me, it's counterintuitive. I always think, there's no way there's going to be a 1 yard touchdown. And then there always is somehow.
There always is. Even without the amazing thing is, even without the pass interference, which I think last weekend, I want to say there was not a pass interference in the end zone. I think they were all just natural 1 yard touchdowns.
Yeah. There was
so random, but it just cashes at plus 60% clip.
So gross. I needed some of those, like Deebo Samuel. Just get in, damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, hey, there are props out there. If you're looking to do some things, I'm all about it. As Robert had mentioned in chat, I'll bet on anything. Last night, North Florida once again.
Ship it.
13-4 against the spread this year. Team
Unreal.
is just a cash cow. In the Atlantic Sun, as I know all our viewers love Atlantic Sun basketball, but that's neither here nor you really should. March Madness is fast approaching, and I do want to say real quick, now that college football is over, I'll be focusing a lot more on college basketball. If anyone has questions, hop in our Slack, our sports betting channel. We have some great people there. Jordan, talking tennis along with some of our other really sharp, Blake and some guys, really sharp tennis guys with the Australian Open going on. I'm sure the MMA will be revved up with the fight. I couldn't tell you the first thing about these people. But we got a lot.
Yeah, there's a ton going on. Obviously, you got the big MMA fight this weekend with McGregor. I wanted to bring it up, but I mean, I'm a boxing guy. I couldn't tell you the first thing. I mean, when McGregor boxed Floyd, like I was all in on Floyd. Like I could tell you that much, but
I was there.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It was good times.
That was a great fight for me.
It was the most crowded I've ever seen Las Vegas ever.
For me, it was probably Mayweather Pacquiao was probably the craziest I've ever seen Vegas.
Dunk City. Yeah, Florida Gulf Coast, not coming through that door. Don't hate on the Ospreys. But yes, and the last thing I will say, and chat knows, and this is what I was alluding to earlier, niche sports, if you do the research, you really can get some soft lines out there. I love betting the NFL like everybody else. Yeah. This was very difficult. Atlantic Sun basketball, you're not going to be able to get crazy, but the majority of people, limits are not a problem. So if you take the time, you can find some things, and you're not Vegas Dave, but you'll be just fine. You're not going to be hitting 75 in a row somehow when you're betting both sides, but that's neither here nor there.
Wait, you're saying he's not hitting 75 in a row?
I don't know how he does it. What can I say?
Wow. Breaking news here.
Almost too good to be true.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, there's so much going on. Like we could definitely break down a bunch of different things this weekend. Certainly going forward, once the NFL ends, we could start to get more into college hoops and NBA, and I'd love to talk some tennis. Obviously, going into the Aussie Open next week.
And as Jeff just brought up again, the XFL.
Yes.
Remember I forgot what it was called. What was the AF?
The AFL, the American, I don't know, something like that.
I think it was the AF. I remember saying that.
Yeah, we talked about it for a few weeks.
And we found a team. I feel like it was the Locomotives. I could be honestly
can't remember.
This up. But the quarterback came back, and again, these lines just weren't efficient. Those are the kind of things that we can look to. So, hey, if there's lines, we'll analyze it, and we'll see what we can do. We try to, we're certainly going to be more transparent than some of the frauds, as people have pointed out.
For sure. For sure. No, XFL is really fascinating because there's a chance that blows up, right? Like a lot more than whatever that other league was. Right. And all of a sudden we're talking about it every week. Like there's definitely going to be a fantasy component built in. I think I'm like kind of bullish on it. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but
I mean, they are running contests, I believe, and we'll see. Listen, there's going to be some rules that are really atypical, and maybe we can take advantage of totals. Seems like they're pushing points as much as possible. So, we'll see what we can find out together. But we definitely want to bring some more of that. I guess we'll talk a little baseball if chat wants going forward.
All right.
I don't know about all that, but there's plenty to go around even without football, and in some ways, it can be easier to bet without the NFL, even though it's a ton of fun.
Agreed. I think we got to head out of here, but obviously good luck everybody this weekend. Like we said, the one advantage you have is you don't have to bet on every game. Of course, it's fun. If you want to have some entertainment, obviously go for it, but good luck. If you have the option to bet live, definitely try to take advantage of that. Ben, any big plans, any parting words?
No, just like you said, enjoy yourself. Good luck, everyone. Certainly follow us on Twitter, subscribe and like on your way out. We really appreciate it. We'll have plenty of content on the DFS side. I have articles posted, and we hope you can get in Slack. Use one of our promos, sign on up. Hope to see you in there and talk to you guys soon.
Sounds good. Good luck, everybody.